Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to do a detailed review on Cuisinart's new T-Series touchscreen 14 cup coffee maker. This is model number DCC-T20. So this is a part of their T-Series, which is a touchscreen. Check out my first video. I did an unboxing. I go over all the dimensions of the coffee maker, kind of the cord and all of that and how much wattage. And then I do an unboxing, or that's the unboxing. I also do a setup. So I show you how to run water through it for the very first time, how to set up the charcoal filter. Check out that video. I show you how to set up the coffee maker before your first use, which is really important. This video, I'm going to show you the controls. We're actually going to make coffee. I've got some coffee here. We're going to use the reusable filter that it comes with. It comes with these number 4 cone filters. Comes with a scoop. This is a 1 tablespoon scoop for coffee. Comes with a really nice instruction manual. So overall, this is a really nice looking coffee maker. It's got their kind of standard brew head they have. This is their cone filter basket. Kind of a standard for them. That's where the water goes in the back. It does come with a charcoal filter. There is some setup for that, and I show you how to set up or rinse it out so that you're ready to go, but it goes right down there in that hole. And this has been a little tricky getting this in each time. You got to make sure you get this right or this will not close. So like I said, it does come with a reusable filter. These are really nice, but it also comes with paper filters. So you can use either or of these filters. You don't want to use both though. So this comes with the glass carafe. This does have a warming plate. It will keep your coffee warm from 0 to 4 hours depending on what you've got it set. This is 14 cups. So I will be doing a comparison with their original 14 cup. This is Cuisinart's original 14 cup. These things have a lot in common, but I'll be doing a comparison video with this. But today it's mainly just with this. This carafe's got like the lid. Normally carafes have a hinged lid. This does not. You got to pop it off. This is kind of their standard. It's got pause brewing, so you got to make sure the lid is installed because the bottom of this filter basket has a plunger that the coffee pot has to push up in order for the coffee to come out. So when the coffee pot is installed, that little plastic washer pushes up and lets the coffee out. That's so you can grab a quick cup of coffee, but you got to make sure that that's all installed. See, when I got this filter basket in and I put the coffee maker in, that's going to push up on that to let coffee brew. So around back, it's got this fancy like angle here. It's all black. It's all very uniform. There's no cord storage. It's got this little lip here, but it looks very modern. So around this side, it does have a window here that you can see how much water you've got installed, up to 14 cups. So I've got it plugged in. This is how it normally looks when it's plugged in. You've got this power button. See, there's nothing. There's no switches on here. It's all touch screen. It's got this power button lit and the clock. Now I can turn that clock on and off so it will display it when they call this like sleep mode or whatever. This is like when it's at rest, sitting on your counter, not being used. This is what it looks like. So this is called the wake button. You just hit this, that turns the screen on. That screen looks really nice. And all those buttons are touch activated. So let's go over some of the buttons real quick. Again, this is the wake. This is always going to be on, and you can turn the clock on and off. So turn it on. It is programmable. I can program this to come on in the morning just like a standard coffee maker. I can set the time. I can also set the carafe temperature. So this carafe button, see how it says these are changing from low, medium, and high? That's the warming plate. How warm does it keep the warming plate to keep your coffee warm? This is the on-off button. So when I'm ready to brew my coffee, I'm just going to hit that button. And it turns the screen off when it goes into brew mode. I'm going to turn it off. I don't want to start a pot of coffee. Here's my wake button. wake the screen. Again, hour and minute for setting the time. It's got a 1 to 4 cup setting. And it lights up really bright when you've got it selected. I want to deselect it. And I really like this feature. You can turn the tone on and off. So those of you that have dogs, this thing does beep at you. They're really, really minor beeps, but it does beep at you. And sometimes dogs don't like that. So you can turn the tone on and off. And you got this little display that shows when the tone is on and off. So the tone is on, tone is off. Nice feature. I wish all coffee makers had that. It does have a bold setting. Now that bold setting, it just brews it about 3 or 4 minutes longer. It kind of pulses as it brews. It'll brew for a little bit, then stop, brew for a little bit, then stop. And again, carafe temperature, auto on. Again, that's for when we want to, I'm going to show you how to program it to come on in the morning. I'll show you how to set the time. And it also has auto off. So if you hit this button again, it turns the display off. So see, I'm not turning the coffee maker on. This does not start a brew. I have to actually hit this button. This is just a wake button, like a power button. And I don't really hear anything turning on except the screen, really. So this coffee maker will shut off after 2 hours is the default. But you can adjust that from 0 to 4 hours by pressing this button. I'm going to show you how to do that later. So this is the screen. It works very good. I'm always very hesitant of touch screens, especially on appliances. It seems like they don't spend a lot of money on the actual touch screen, and they just don't work really well. This one actually works pretty good. It's definitely pressing around the button. It's definitely all touch screen. I mean, there's not even any kind of detent at all. And pressing this doesn't do anything. This is like a wake button. So it looks really nice. You can wipe it off, clean it off. It's going to look really nice. So let's go add our water. I'm going to fill my pot up to the 14 cup mark. I always make a full pot to test it, see how it's going to do. Now, this thing will brew. So I'm going to pour the water in the back, and we'll see it come up in the window here. This thing brews whatever water you put in it. I'm going to put the max in 14, but if you only want to brew 6 cups, you've got to fill it up only to the 6 cup mark. This is not a reservoir that you select the quantity that's going to brew. Whatever amount you put in here, it brews it. When you press that brew button, it brews the whole amount. So if I only wanted to do a 6 cup pot, because this is a full 14 cups. This is a big pot. 14 cups is a lot of coffee. A standard one is 12. So if I just wanted to do 10, fill it up to the 10 mark, pour it in, and it'll show that it's at the 10 cup mark. It'll brew that whole amount. And then we'll add our coffee grounds accordingly just for 10 cups. Okay, so you're just going to open the lid. This is the water reservoir. This is where the water goes. Make sure your carbon filter is installed, ready to go. So let's see how the carafe pours. It's got a nice big opening here. Yeah, I like how it pours. Pours really nice. Okay, so I poured the entire contents of this. I got to make sure and put it back, make sure the lid is installed. I can see I could have put a little bit more water in it. I'm going to fill it up just a little bit more. Okay, I've got it filled up to the 14 max mark. Now we got to do our coffee grounds. So again, let's put the filter basket in. Okay, now we got to add a filter. You're going to choose between this or a paper filter. You cannot use both. When you go to buy them in the future, it'll say number 4 cone filter. Now the coffee I'm going to be using, I've never had this before, so I'm kind of anxious to try it out, but it's just for a standard drip coffee maker. Usually ground at a medium roast or a medium grind. Now this doesn't say what it's ground at, but it was in the coffee aisle, so I'm assuming it's going to work. So I'm going to do a paper filter first because I want to see if it's going to overflow the filter. These paper filters, okay, make sure you get one. They open up. You're going to come over here and see how this is kind of a V. You want to put it in there like that. And then you're going to put your hand in it and kind of mush it up to the sides so that it's hugging the sides. This makes it easier to put your coffee in, and that way the filter is appropriate because that water is going to come down If your filter is over here, it'll start coming down over here. So make sure it's hugging the walls. So I opened this up. Here's what medium ground coffee looks like. So you don't want something too fine. It could overflow, or something too coarse. You won't get the proper flavor extraction. So we've got this little scoop. If you lose this scoop, this is 1 tablespoon. And the manufacturer recommends 1 tablespoon per cup I'm gonna brew. So since I'm gonna do 14, I'm gonna put 14 of these scoops right here in the middle. If I was only gonna do 10, I would just do 10 scoops. And accordingly, they made it very simple. If I'm gonna do 6, just 6 scoops and 6 cups of water. So I'm gonna add the coffee. A little tricky. There's 1. So I'm gonna count out 14 of these. Okay, so I added 14 tablespoons right there. Now I don't do anything else. I've got my water. I'm gonna close the brew head. I've got my filter and my coffee. This should close nice and flush. Again, if you don't have it right, there's a little cutout here for that little handle. If this isn't right, it won't close. Make sure it's nice and flush. Now we're gonna come over here. It went to sleep again. You're just gonna hit the wake button. Now, I've got my carafe on high. That's how high it's gonna keep the warming plate. Let's just go to medium. I'm not gonna do a bold setting. Again, if I wanted a bold, it would stay lit, but I'm not. This is not 1 to 4 cup. If I only had 1 to 4 cups amount of water in here, I would press this button. But I'm doing a full 14 cups. Pressing that button doesn't cause it to only brew 1 to 4 cups. Even if you press this button, it's still gonna brew whatever water you got back there. It does a little different brew process when you're doing a small amount. Okay, so now, like I said, I woke it up. I'm just gonna hit the brew now button. It turns the rest of the display off. This is pulsing. Now we're gonna time it. I'm assuming it's gonna take about a cup a minute. So I'm assuming this will take about 4 minutes. This should take 14 minutes. So I'm gonna get a temperature as the water is coming out of the brew basket. It's about 186. That's pretty hot. Again, it's got that pause brewing. So if I wanted to grab, I would wait till it had 4 or 5 cups. But if I wanted to grab a quick cup of coffee, I could pull this out and see how that plunger stops. You'll get a few drips. And then as soon as I put this back, it picks up the brew process. Now you can't leave your coffee maker out very long or else it will start overflowing because it doesn't stop the actual brew process. It just stops the coffee from coming out. So I don't recommend lifting this lid while it's brewing, but I'm going to do it just to kind of show you what's going on. So it looks like it's got a pretty good bloom going on the coffee grounds. I do like cone filters. I do think cone filters make some of the best tasting coffee. And I especially like cone filters with a reusable filter. Now reusable filters let a little bit of sediment through. That's why when people use a paper filter, they don't get much sediment. But you do get a little bit of sediment when you use these. Now sediment, I don't know if it's good or bad for you. Some people say it adds flavor to the coffee, which I do tend to agree with. But you will not get sediment when you use a paper filter. So the coffee maker right now is not very loud. It's a pretty standard sound. I know towards the end of the brew process, you'll get a lot of steam coming up. Now right now this isn't hot, but this will get really hot. And you'll get a bunch of steam coming out here. And it does kind of pop, a little bit of popping towards the end of the brew process. But right now it's relatively quiet. Just a standard, it's got a good smell to it. It just smells like, really nice tasting coffee brewing. I don't have any sense of plastic smell or anything, even though this is brand new. So we're at the 4 cup mark. It's been about 4 minutes. So yeah, this is a cup a minute. This is pretty standard. There's nothing quick about this, but that's the standard. Okay, so it looks, let's take another quick peek. Okay, so it's doing a really good job with the coffee grounds. Okay, so we're at the 7 cup mark. We're halfway through the brew. We can see it's doing a really good job with the coffee grounds. They're not anywhere close to overflowing. Okay, we're at the 11 cup mark. It's doing a really good job. It's not overflowing the filter at all. Okay, we're getting towards the end. We're getting that popping sound. That's normal. Lots of steam coming out there. Be careful. This gets really, really hot. Be careful. Just take a peek. Yeah, it's doing a really good job. It never overflows the filter. That's awesome. You'd be surprised some of the coffee makers that overflow their filter baskets. Yeah, a lot of steam. This thing will not fit under a kitchen cabinet. It's still too tall. Okay, so those are the beeps. That lets you know that now it's done brewing, but it's keeping the warming plate on. And I've got it set to medium. See how the M is showing? So that means it's at a medium temperature. So let's see how the coffee tastes. Now the display still shows this to let you know that the warming plate is on. If I want it, this will turn off after its default is 2 hours, but I can adjust that. But after 2 hours, or say if you got it up to 4 hours, it will turn the warming plate off automatically. That's very nice. And then all you're gonna notice is this is gonna go out. But if I wanna turn the warming plate off right now, I would just hit that button and that would turn the warming plate off. But that's the only way you can know that the warming plate is on. That's a really heavy coffee pot. When it's 14 cups, you really tell. It pours really nice. Gotta be sure and get a temperature check real quick. 175, 76, that's a really hot cup of coffee. I'm not gonna be able to taste that right now. Let's let that cool. I just wanna show you the warming plate. Yeah. I'm seeing about 225 degrees, the warming plate. Now, I don't know exactly what temperatures, low, medium, and high. You'll just have to play with that. Again, you can adjust how hot that warming plate gets between low, medium, and high. I don't think it varies the temperature a ton. I think it's just like 3 or 4 degrees on it, on another Cuisinart that I checked. Okay, let's look and see how the filter basket did. Again, quite a bit of water up here. It did really well. Yes, it did not even, so you can see how high the water got up in it. Not even close to overflowing. So this is a really good coffee maker. It brewed all the water out of the back reservoir. Now cleanup, you're gonna wanna wait. This gets pretty hot, but it does have this little handle. And I can just take that over to the trash can now. It's not gonna drip because it's got that plunger, and I can just dump that out. If I had the reusable one, I would have to bang out the coffee grounds and then wash this out with soap and water. Okay, so I have to add cream and sugar to my coffee. Give it a taste. Yeah, that's a really good cup of coffee. That tastes delicious. This is the first cup of coffee out of this coffee maker. Now I did my setup process of running water through it. I don't taste any plastic. It tastes like just a good cup of coffee. That's a really hot cup of coffee too. Okay, so let's go over cleanup. Again, if I'm done with this coffee maker, I would just come up here and hit this button. That will turn the warming plate off. If I hadn't touched that button after 3 or 4 hours, whatever I've got it set at, 2 hours is the default, that would have just shut off on its own. But cleanup is very simple. This can go in the dishwasher, same with this lid, top rack only. So you can take this apart. I'm not gonna clean this because I want to drink some of that coffee still. But let's show you clean. So cleanup is very simple. This is what you're gonna clean up. You're gonna pull this filter basket out. I'm gonna go dump those coffee grounds out. Now I typically just rinse mine out, and about every 3rd pot of coffee, I'll wash this in the dishwasher, top rack. I do notice, so I've got this back in, some water does kind of congregate right here. I'm not sure what that's from. You get quite a bit of condensation up here, which is pretty standard anyway. And definitely don't touch that. That stays hot for a long time. That Cameron's is a very mellow taste. I'm more of a medium brew, and I really like the donut shop coffees that different people make. This is a very good cup of coffee. It's not a lot of, it doesn't taste burnt. It doesn't taste light like the breakfast blends. That's just a very good medium roast. Walmart sells it. So I did like, you don't get a bunch of steam around this control panel. Like on some coffee makers, there's a lot of steam that comes up this way. I didn't notice that very much. So now let's talk about the control panel. Let's set the time first. So we got to turn it on. Just touch that. And we're going to hold the hour button. Okay, and then it starts flashing. I'm going to change the time. It only has, that's not AM or PM. That M is still lit, but it only has a PM light. See the PM light just lit? So that's PM. If it's AM where you're at, make sure the PM goes away. So right now it is 11, and then do the minutes. It is 11:20 AM right now. Again, that little M does not mean for time. That's for the temperature of the warming plate. Once you just let it go, it memorizes the time and goes back to the display. Now I want to show you one more thing. So when this thing turns, this display will go off after a certain amount of time, but you can turn it off too. The clock is displayed. If you don't want the clock to display when this thing is at rest, press it on, hold the hour and the minute button. That turns the clock off. Now when this thing goes to rest, it's very dark. The only thing you see is the power button. So if your coffee maker doesn't show a clock, you're going to press it on, hold the hour and the minute button for 3 seconds, and the clock comes back. Again, we talked about, so right here you can't see it, but there is a clean light. My next video, I'm going to show you how to descale this coffee maker. Now this is like a standard Cuisinart. It has a clean light that comes on when it's time to descale the inside of your coffee maker. I'm going to do a whole separate video on that. If the light comes on, that means it's getting pretty bad on the inside. You want to keep up with your descale before the light comes on, so about every 3 to 6 months. But it also, that acts like a button. So when that light comes on, we're also going to, it has a mode, we're going to put it in descale mode. Again, here's the tone. That's that little symbol. 1 to 4 cup. Now again, that's only if I'm brewing a small batch. That does not cause the coffee maker only to run 4 cups of coffee through the machine. Carafe temperature. This is that low, medium, and high I was telling you about. I always keep it on medium. Bold setting. I'm not going to do a pot of coffee on bold. I've done them. It's about 3 to 4 minutes longer. It does taste a little better. It's the same temperature. It's just, it kind of brews for a little bit, then stops. Brews for a little bit, then stops. So we're not going to do a bold, but it does have that function. Okay, let's set so we want to make a pot of coffee in the morning. First thing you're going to want to do is make sure your carafe is empty. I've got coffee in here right now. Make sure that is empty. Then you're going to put your filter and coffee in and your water in. It all has to be ready to go, like you were ready to press the Brew Now button. So once you've got everything ready to go, like you were ready to press the Brew Now button, we're going to press the auto on button, and this is the auto on button. We've got to hold it to set the time. That time will start flashing. It's flashing. Now I want to set the time. I want the coffee maker to come on. Now again, don't pay any attention to that M. It's the PM you want to pay attention to. It only has a PM light, so just scroll past the PM. I want this to come on at 5, and do the minutes. 5:10 AM. That's when it's going to come on. Just let it memorize it. Just let it sit. Okay. Once it memorizes it, you didn't do anything. It automatically turns the auto on. You don't have to do anything else. I don't want to turn the power on. I don't want to hit any other button. As long as I see that auto on button lit, that means it's going to start. It reverts back to your normal time. This coffee maker will start in the morning and brew you a pot of coffee. Now, if you want to cancel that, you just go up there and hit that button that cancels it. So saying that once you've got your time set, so in the future, you're going to turn it on, press the button. Okay, yeah, 5:10. I still have to hold it. Okay, and I have to let it go through its process. Even though I'm not changing the time, I have to let it go through that process in order for it to turn on at the end. There, it memorized it, and that light is on. Good to go for coffee. I'm going to cancel it, so I can cancel that without even turning it on. So check out my next video. I'm going to do one side by side with this is their original one. And I don't see much difference other than looks. Again, I'll put a link to this in my show description. If you could click on it, I really appreciate it. I do get a little bit of money from Amazon when you click on it. I am an Amazon affiliate. I pay for all my own products. So by getting a little bit of money from Amazon, you don't pay any more when you click on that link, but it does help me defer some of the costs when I buy these products to do reviews. So I feel like I'm forgetting something on this coffee maker, but I'm going to do a D-scale video next, and the next one will be a comparison. But yeah, $130. It's got a really nice look. Again, it's part of their T series. If you've ever seen that display at like Macy's or Dillard's, it's a really nice display, and they've got several products that have this kind of black finish. So it looks really nice. Be a great addition to a kitchen. Thanks everybody for your continued support. I really appreciate it. If you got any questions on this coffee maker or any other coffee makers, please leave them in the comments. I check my comments on a daily basis. I'll be more than happy to dig out a coffee maker I've got and see if I can duplicate it. Thanks everybody. If you could, please like and subscribe.